In the previous part, I told you that we would discuss the practical method that a normal young person, like my son, in his early 30s, can practice. The person who had listened and understood the theory part of the Dhamma is called Sothapana, meaning the person who entered the path to liberation. Being a Sothapana means your initial vision is cleansed, drushti vishuddhi, meaning you have clearly understood that ignorance, failing to realize the nature of anicca, uncontrollability, leads to desires, expectations, and attachments, trishna, which in turn cause various forms of suffering, dukkha in samsara. The path to freedom is through relinquishment, anatta. If you had followed the previous 5 parts and firmly convinced that the above said is the truth and the relinquishment is the true path to freedom, then your vision is being cleared and you grasp the idea. You got convinced that this is correct and decided to follow the path. Now it comes to the question, what is the method or the path you need to follow in order to completely change the mind and disconnect attachment from your mind so you can stop future suffering? The shortest answer is, think in the opposite direction, not the way you are sheepishly directed to think by the normal worldly way of thinking, but thinking in the way opposite to how other people think. By doing that, you can stop participating in the game of generating extreme emotions and desires, neutralize the wave of high and low extremes of emotions, and settle in a serene, tranquil midline. This is called taking the middle path, or the Madhyama Pratipadawa, the path. What is the path to follow to change your mind, to keep your mind tranquil without getting agitated? The path you should follow is so easy that you do not have to leave your family, work, or everything in life behind. You do not need to go to the forest to look for trees to sit under in order to meditate on your breathing. Following this path, you can practice at any time, anywhere, in any posture, while working, relaxing, traveling, shopping, watching TV, or while going to sleep in bed. The only requirement is that you should be watchful of the thoughts that come to your mind. The method. A little bit of theory. Before explaining the practice part of the method, when someone asked what is the nirvana, or the liberation from the trap of samsara is, Lord Buddha mentioned the following: Raga shayo, dvasha shayo, mohasyo nibbanam. That means not generating raga, meaning that overly attachments, passion, lust, cravings, desires, or expectations, not generating dvasha, meaning overly dissension, dislikes, intense animosity, or hatred. Removal muha, meaning that removal of ignorance, delusion, wrong choices, misconception of not seeing and knowing the real nature of uncontrollability, anicca, in the world around you. Thus, gaining the wisdom of seeing and understanding the nature of things as they truly are is the nirvana. Hence, nirvana is a condition of mind you gain when you are neutral to the outside world and have the ability to see things in true perspective. In a world where others are running like mad, chasing their insatiable desires, you have stopped chasing illusions. This path, or the method you need to follow to gain this everlasting mental peace and tranquility, is called the Marga Satya, which means the true path to follow. According to scriptures, Lord Buddha said the following: I promise you this, if someone practices this method given here, then that person, depending on the person's intellectual ability, will either attain realization of nirvana in a minimum of 7 hours, a medium time of 7 days or 7 months, or a maximum of 7 years. Such is the power of these techniques. Even if you have not gained any of that, living this way is very satisfying and peaceful with less problems in life. Practice part of the method. The practice part contains 2 sections. First, calming the mind, Samatha, then analyzing the thought, Vidarshana. 1. To remove dvasha or anger from the mind. At any time, anywhere, when a thought of hatred or fire of anger, dvasha, comes to your mind, you should be observant and recognize that a train of angry and fiery thoughts is forming in your mind. Example: you are driving your car and someone overtook you from wrong side of the road. Once you detect that in your mind, anger started burning like a skillful firefighter, you should stop forming those thoughts by utilizing thoughts of loving kindness. A. Samatha Bhavana, calming meditation. Utilizing loving kindness when anger arises, think like this: Metha Nusati, or loving kindness meditation. May peace be upon this world. May all beings be happy and well. May all beings are infinite and boundless, of pure light, filled with love, compassion, and kindness for all other beings, even the slightest thought of harming another being never occurring in their minds. May all beings attain nibbana and be free from the sufferings of samsara. Once the anger is subdued, like a skillful firefighter who removes hazards that may cause potential future fires, you must find the cause of the anger in your mind and remove it by analyzing its origin. B. Vipassana Bhavana, insight meditation, utilizing Marananasati, uncontrollability of nature. Analyze the thoughts occurring in line with the Trilakshana, the 3 qualities of existence, starting with the uncontrollability of everything, through thoughts of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. This is called Marananusati. Think like this: anicca, or the universal truth in this world, it is that things or people do not stay or behave as I want them to be. The expectation that material things or people will always behave as I desire is the root cause of all preventable sufferings in the world, dukkha. Therefore, me having such high expectations is nothing of substance and useless, a futile pursuit, anatta or asara. C. Sweeping the mind clean with Buddha Usati. Think: why should I get angry with those who are suffering due to their delusion and ignorance? They get angry because they believe everything should happen according to their wishes, which never happens. I should not be that kind of ignorant fool to get angry at them. By practicing this method, you will gradually become less and less angry person over the time, to remove raga or lust from the mind. At any time, anywhere, when a thought of craving or lust arises, be watchful and identify that an attachment is forming in your mind. For an example, while driving down the road, you may see someone with a very attractive appearance, which causes you to have feelings of desire in your mind. Once detected, like a skillful firefighter, subdue it with thoughts of undesirability, asubha nusati. A. Samatha Bhavana, calming meditation, utilizing undesirability, asubha nusati. Think: this physical body is made of an erected skeleton bound by blood-soaked veins, filled with pieces of meat, and covered by skin. This body is no different from a cadaver. The consciousness that possesses it is trapped in samsara due to ignorance. Because of ignorance of anicca, uncontrollability, I am again being lured into this endless cycle of birth and death. B. Vipassana Bhavana, insight meditation. Reflect on anicca, dukkha, and anatta to see the body's impermanence and suffering. This body is, as well as everything else I believe as mine, or should be mine, are subject to anicca nature, does not stay or behave as I wish. Hence, it is the reason for dukkha, the sufferings, and it is the cause for all sorts of disastrous outcomes, anartha. Because of that, it is not a thing to get attached to. Sweeping the mind clean with Buddhanussati. Think, why should I crave a body which is subjected to aging, sickness, and death? I should remove this delusion from my mind. By practicing this method, you will gradually become less and less greedy and lustful person over the time. 3. To remove muha or ego from the mind. The method is par at any time, anywhere when a thought of wrongful assessment of the ego, muha, comes to your mind. You should be watchful to identify that a thought train of wrongful assessment and ego are forming in your mind. For an example, you saw that your neighbor has bought a beautiful, expensive car. A thought occurs in your mind that you should not to be outdone by the neighbor. You should also purchase a better and more expensive car. Once you detect that, like a skillful firefighter who remove the cause of the future fires, you also need to find the cause of the ego in your mind and remove it with the thoughts of anicca, dukkha, and anatta, marana anusasati. That means thinking, everything I believe as mine or should be mine, including properties such as car, are subject to anicca nature, does not stay or behave as I wish. Hence, it is the reason for dukkha, sufferings, and it is the cause for all sorts of disastrous outcomes, anartha. Because of that, it is not a thing to be get attached. Finally, you should sweep clean your mind of any leftover residue of lust with Buddhanussati. That is thinking, why should I get craving for those things or get into the rat race of getting material things with other deluded people who are subjected to all sorts of sufferings in the samsara, including aging, sickness, and death? I see their processions as attractive due to the delusion and ignorance still left in my mind. If I do not remove it, then I will also be lost in the illusions of this fearful samsara. Hence, I should do my best to see the reality of this world and completely remove those unnecessarily competitive, delusional thoughts. That is all you need to do and need to know. In this video series, I explained you the core of the Lord Buddha's real teachings, which took me 50 years of my life to grasp while separating the wheat from the chaff, as true teachings were distorted over the time. If the poorest and poor boys like Sunitha and Sopaka could understood this, and alcoholic Sarakani and slave girl Rajumala could grasp this truth, then it is very unfortunate that if my son or you could not get it in to the head. Anyway, as a parent, I did my duty. Note: keep thinking in the above way. At any time you can find a moment to spare. Not only while you sit and meditate, which usually happen very rare in a practical, busy world, but do it when you sit in a train or bus, when you drive to work, when go to sleep, or when you eat. If you had really followed and taken time to understand what I have told in this series of videos from the beginning to the end, totaling about half an hour, and practice the way I told you to think, then very soon your materialistic outlook of the world will start to change. Using these profound techniques, even within this lifetime, you can live a fulfilling life without suffering, gradually breaking free from the mundane world just by changing the way you think. You will become more patient, more tolerant, kind, compassionate, and emotionally stable and happier person. Nothing can shake you, as you will be immune to mental sufferings. Therefore, true Buddhists will never suffer mental breakdowns or depression, as they understand the true nature of things. May peace be upon this world. May all beings are happy and well. May all beings are infinite, boundless, beings of pure light, filled with love, compassion, and kindness for all other beings.